We are Support for African Female Empowerment, or SAFE, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, otherwise known as the DRC. Our mission is to increase family planning resources by creating and maintaining educational programs with an emphasis on accessibility, availability, and affordability of sexual education for all Congolese residents. Moreover, our vision focuses on grounding family planning usage within the Democratic Republic of Congo in the 21st century, as well as raise awareness and increase acceptability within all cultures, groups, and peoples living in the Democratic Republic of the Congo through programs and community outreach. We focus on family planning in the health sector of the DRC. According to the CIA World Factbook, the DRC currently has a total fertility rate of 4.54 children and a modern contraceptive prevalence rate of 7.8% nationally. Several factors are keeping the fertility high and contraceptive use low, specifically government instability, a cultural preference for high fertility, logistic problems, and economic barriers in providing access to contraceptive purchase to those living in areas with low levels of infrastructure. We have three objectives to fulfill our mission statement. First, the empowerment of women. Second, education for the population and family planning. And third, provision of contraceptive resources.
Our first objective aims to empower women by opening a dialogue to reduce the cultural stigma and mistrust of contraceptives. To do this, we intend to provide weekly support groups for women that offer resources in family planning. By working with existing women's support groups and expanding their efforts, we will be able to gain credibility in the communities more quickly. A potential risk is that individuals or groups who oppose this action in favor of traditional roles may target, even with violence, our support groups. We will use cooperation with law enforcement officials to protect women's groups and their right to advocacy, according to their local laws and customs. If regulations and customs are strict against women in a particular area, we will work with local officials in support of the empowerment movement through the mediation of our organization's leaders, as well as other peacekeeping organizations to mitigate this risk. Our organization measures the success of this program through attendance and the proportion of the female population with plausible access to the support groups. By helping women have the ability to participate in and obtain local support, they may be more likely to go against the cultural stigma of using various family planning methods and increase their decision-making ability in favor of education and independence. Our second effort is the coordination of educative resources to expand awareness of contraceptives and family planning. Our principal activity is to provide a curriculum about family planning and sexual education for both males and females in schools, as well as have a mobile workshop that goes from village to village educating rural females who are unlikely to be enrolled in school. A risk in being successful in this goal is that young females may not be present in the schools in the DRC, and they may be working toward intervention opportunities at mobile workshops. We intend to mitigate this by obtaining funding from additional nonprofits, such as the Association for Family Welfare and Desirable Births and DKT DRC. The number of individuals in attendance will measure this effort's effectiveness at the educational interventions in an outgoing survey of attendees to determine their understanding of the material, feelings about the utility, and expectation to use the information. SAFE's ultimate goal and final objective are to provide full access to contraceptives and family planning methods to rural and urban women in the DRC, either at reduced cost or, if funding permits, free of charge. We can achieve this pursuit if the previous objectives we have covered with the crucial support of our regional partners and the people on the ground lay the groundwork. Our primary activity will be to actively distribute contraceptives and literature regarding their proper use from village to village, with an initial focus on the secluded rural parts of the DRC, where they are most desperately needed. The most significant risks posed by such activities include disruption and potential violence from conservative militias in the region, who oppose any education or access to contraceptives and female empowerment in general. These risks can be mitigated by having absolute trust of the locals and being informed of the militias' movements so that SAFE personnel is never in an area where the militias are. Another effective method to mitigate this risk can be to request an escort with UN peacekeepers, not DRC political forces, due to widespread distrust, to guarantee safety. Our indicators for success in this action is a decline in the total fertility rate, HIV and STI transmission rates, and an increase in female happiness across the areas we serve. Once it becomes apparent to outside NGOs and other potential backers that this is working, we will be able to ramp up operations significantly and eventually contribute to a significant improvement in reproductive rights and female empowerment overall in Central Africa. Our final activity, which will act in a supplementary role to our focus on contraceptive distribution, will be to provide financial assistance either through low-interest loans or money exchanges for those who attend support groups or are recipient of our contraceptive services. This initiative will act as an effective anti-poverty measure in the DRC, and the goal is to encourage independent enterprise and small businesses to facilitate a better understanding of how finance works. The risks for this initiative include loan default, fraud, misuse of loans for illegal activities, and more corruption as loan recipients may use the money to bribe government officials or other forms of corruption. We will mitigate these risks through regular audits and check-ins on loan recipients. The way that the effectiveness of the loan program will be measured is by looking at the number of people who come in seeking loans, overall household income levels among loan recipients over time compared to the general population, and whether or not their quality of life improves over some time. Our timeline begins with creating relationships with the local family planning educators and female empowerment groups working in the DRC, sending our representatives to engage with the women to whom they are reaching out. Through this, we will be establishing credibility and relationships within rural communities to spread the word for the initial women's support group meetings and educational sessions in schools. The sessions will begin approximately 1 month later and held monthly for a total of 6 months. After this outreach effort, we will have obtained valuable feedback, increased participation, and an overall improved understanding of family planning and female empowerment. These positive results are necessary to secure sufficient funds from the government and nonprofit partners for us to take our last step, distribution of the physical contraceptives. We will then spend another 6 months assessing how the original contraceptive revisions have impacted the effectiveness and attendance of the education and support groups. After seeing significant success in our efforts, we will implement financial assistance or money exchanges for those participating in the support groups to obtain the contraceptives. The marker we wish to see after this final phase is that women who had not been able to get the contraceptives and use them effectively due to affordability or acceptability will be able to do so.
Although currently the DRC is not a very friendly place for women and female empowerment is not what it should be, the nation has enormous potential for improvement. Through SAFE's proposed efforts to provide outreach, support, education, and easy access to contraception, we have the potential to transform the lives of thousands of women in Central Africa and prove that female empowerment is possible anywhere in the world, no matter how unequal some societies can be.